Hi, everyone. What if one of the most important dates in the life of Jesus has been wrong for centuries? What if Herod the Great didn't die in 4 BC, but was still alive in 1 BC? Coins, calendars, eclipses, and even Josephus are forcing scholars to rethink everything. Okay, hi, I'm Mark Bates. This is Rabbit Room Apologetics, and as you probably know, if you've been watching my channel for a little bit, I love answering replies because it's a great way for all of us to learn. It tells me what you're thinking and what you're asking questions about. And so I did have a viewer who made a statement that quite a few people have been telling me, which is that how could my theories of when Messiah Christ was born, right, on Yom Teruah about 3 BC, be correct if Herod was already dead in 4 BC, because then all the things that Herod did could not have happened. So it's a great question. So let's get into it, okay? So the first thing is, what are the points of evidence that Herod was alive, and that he was there, right? So, and this is all recent scholarship within the last 10, 15 years. So it takes time for this stuff to get down, right, into the trenches, so to speak. Okay, so the first one is numismatic, right? Numismatic means coin evidence, okay? And so when we're talking about coin evidence, the question is, what do we have? So Orman Edwards, he did a study in 1982, and he analyzed Herodian coins and demonstrated that the dating systems used on the coins aligned better with a death date of 1 BC rather than 4 BC. He argued that Josephus misinterpreted the calendars in use during the Herod's reign, leading to errors in dating. Coins were dated according to different calendars, civil New Year versus ecclesiastical calendar, which can explain the discrepancies between 4 BC and 1 BC. I've been getting a lot of questions about calendars, and I'll do a calendar discussion here shortly. Edwards concluded that the coins support a death date of Tishri 1, 3 BC, civil calendar, or Nisan 1, 2 BC, ecclesiastical calendar, which corresponds to death around 1 BC in modern reckoning. And that's another big problem, by the way. What we consider to be the current calendar, our modern calendar, does not line up that easily with a lot of ancient calendars. So you got to be careful with that. Okay, so the second thing is there is a reassessment here of Josephus' chronology in the writings of Josephus that we need to deal with. So Andrew Steinman's research, dated about 2009, he did a critical examination of Josephus' account and found inconsistencies in the traditional chronology. He proposed that Herod's reign likely lasted from late 39 BC to early 1 BC rather than ending in 4 BC. So Steinman's reconstruction accounts for all surviving historical references more logically than the consensus view. He also highlighted problems with the 4 pillars of the consensus chronology, showing they are flawed or false. So you do have to watch stuff like that, okay? So the next point here is going to be lunar eclipse and Passover timing. All right, so let me get this here. I'm trying to give you some evidence to read. So the lunar eclipse and Passover timing. The traditional date of Herod's death is linked to a lunar eclipse on March 13th, 4 BC. However, that specific timeline of events described by Josephus requires more time than the 29 days between this eclipse and Passover. A lunar eclipse in 1 BC fits better with the timeline, allowing sufficient time, 41 to 62 days, for the events leading to Herod's death and funeral. The eclipse of 1 BC is a total eclipse, which would have been a more significant than the partial eclipse in 4 BC, making it more plausible marker for Herod's death. Okay, so that's another piece of evidence. The next one is going to be that there's the reign of Herod's successors that we need to deal with. Okay, so Herod's successors, Archelaus, Antipas, and Philip, and their dating suggests Herod died closer to 1 BC. Archelaus and Antipas may have antedated their reigns to 4 BC to legitimize their rule, which complicates the traditional timeline. And by the way, this is something that ancient rulers used to do all the time. They would predate their rule, saying, I've been around for a long time, right? Because that makes my rule more legitimate. Okay? So, and numismatic. Now, this is coins. And this is important because some of our best historical evidence comes from coins. Because coins tend to last a long time, where paper documents may not. Numismatic evidence supports longer reigns for Herod's successors, consistent with later death date for Herod. Okay? So that's something else. Okay, finally, the last item we want to talk about here is that there's a calendar, and this is the big one here. Ancient calendars are always subject to interpretation challenges. So, different calendar systems, the civil versus ecclesiastical, were in use during Herod's time, leading to confusion in dating events, including, by the way, multiple calendars based upon the Jewish sect that you were part of, plus numerous other calendars based upon the Roman, Greek, different other areas, right? So there was no one consistent calendar everyone agreed on. The 4 BC and 1 BC dates may actually refer to the same point in time, depending upon which calendar you're referring to. This explains why the 1 BC date is plausible and consistent with the coin evidence and historical evidence. So once again, we're looking at the preponderance of the evidence here points to a 1 BC date. This has been the scholarly acceptance for about the last, like I said, about 10, 15 years. The 4 BC date had been around for centuries, and so it's going to be in all the books that people have for many years still, but I would not suggest following that date. So once again, you have numismatic studies reveal that Herod's coins align better with 1 BC. Josephus' Chronology has been re-examined, showing that the 4 BC date is problematic. Astronomical data, including lunar eclipses, point more to a 1 BC date, and his successor reigns, and the different calendars around support a 1 BC date. So that's why we go with 1 BC. All right. So if you like this video, please think about liking it, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this with a friend who may be interested in the datings of big events in the Bible. And by the way, the Bible says nothing about exactly when Herod died, right? So we don't have a biblical reference to go with on that. Also, if you look in the description, you will find two links. I'm sorry, not three, 2 links. One to my Bible study platform, right, which is $10 a month. There's a lot of videos on there, not calendars, videos on there about all kinds of different topics built into courses that are not being posted to YouTube. So it gives you that. Plus you join a community with a forum where you can ask questions. I will answer all the questions I can as fully as possible. I encourage you to also talk to each other. Talk about your points of view, what you're feeling about, and what you're interested in. And also, it's a great place to tell me what you want videos on, right? And what you want me to work on for you. I've been doing this for 25 years. I have a great wealth of information available to me that many people don't have, and so let me use it for you. Okay, that's what I love doing. So think about that. The other link in the description will be to Logos Bible Study. That's where I get most of the data that you're seeing me talk to you about. Logos is the Bible study platform I've been using for about 25 years now. It is probably the best available that I know of. Runs on PCs and also has some mobile platform options for you. PC's still probably the best if you have a PC, though the Apple version works very well as well. Okay, they've now made their cost of entry a lot lower because they now do a monthly subscription instead of you having just to pay out hundreds of dollars to buy the software. And there is a link that gives you a discount. So if you're not using Logos and you're thinking about it, you might as well get it at a discount. So that's there as well. Hope you like everything. Have a great day and be good.